Rich, today we're sitting down with Dr. Kayvon K from Profit Finder. In this episode, we really talk about how he identifies with entrepreneurs really as a chief profitability officer. A lot of entrepreneurs are there working in their business, but who's focused on profitability of your business 24/7?
And I'm looking at my other monitor here at his LinkedIn profile, and it says he's a profit coach. Who doesn't need a profit coach? And it has income and impact. Right underneath that on his LinkedIn, it says performance, productivity, and profitability. I feel like we really got into each of those on this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's something for everybody in this, right? I really love the finance side, which is the revenue and the profitability and the cash and how entrepreneurs can do better in all those areas. And we talk about a lot of tips and models in that area. But this really hit home with you as well. We got into the psychology of sales and the human condition problem and offer design, a concept that you'd never heard of before.
A lot of it does come back to psychology, and he had a lot of angles at it that there were more angles in profit in psychology than I thought originally existed. I think our listeners are going to love it.
Absolutely. And if you want to listen along as you're going through, go to profitfindernow.com and listen to Dr. K in this episode. I think you'll learn a lot about really how to get out that extra profit that's just sitting there in your business and stop doing the things you shouldn't be doing and start focusing on the things that you should be doing. Dr. K, thanks for joining us here on the Entrepreneurs United podcast. We can't wait to jump into this conversation. You touch on a subject that's near and dear to my heart and near and dear to every entrepreneur's heart is how can we stop working so darn hard and not make enough money? So I can't wait to jump into this conversation for sure.
Thank you very much, John and Rich. Thank you for having me here. I'm very happy to be here. I'm thankful for our friend Peter who made the connection, and I'm excited to have this conversation.
Awesome. And Peter would be Peter Moore, right, with Simplifying Entrepreneurship. And we definitely enjoyed his conversation. And it may fall in the same vein here, which is why do we work so darn hard? There may be an easier way to do things. Can you walk us through, maybe to start, Dr. K, can you walk us back through your background and history, both in the medical profession and as you became an entrepreneur yourself, and some of the things you learned and the trials and tribulations you had as an entrepreneur that led you to become a coach?
Yes. Well, thank you very much for that question. So you want the long version or the short version?
Well, you know what? Why don't you give us the short version and let us dive into it?
Yes. Okay. So, after high school, I became a medical student, studied medicine, finished that. And towards the end, I realized this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I got my medical degree, MD, and I got interested in business and entrepreneurship. Well, actually, first I was interested in computers and internet. So I started to work with that. I had, clients and taught myself web design and became a internet programmer after a while. And as I was doing that, I noticed that I am giving these people, my clients, their websites and CRMs and that sort of thing, but they come back to me with new set of questions because we already had a relationship there. And all of that was in the business growth and marketing area. And at the beginning, my answer was, but that's not what I do. I'm a technician. Go away. Go away. Not my problem. Go away. Not my problem. And after a while, I didn't like myself anymore for that answer. So I thought, you know what? Let's look into that. Let's make that my problem. And that was the interest in business and growth and entrepreneurship that started. I studied marketing a lot at the beginning. And that technical company transformed into technical implementation of online marketing strategies, so transformed to a new level. And as I was doing that and studying, at the time I was reading about 50 business books a year, kind of a situation. My clients started to tell me another pattern emerged. They started to tell me, "Hey, Kayvon, the work is fine, but the biggest value that we are getting are from the strategic conversations that we're having, and the way that you help us, simplify things and come to resolutions and that sort of thing." And I thought, hey, I'm enjoying that too, so I might as well remove all of the extra part and keep the conversation. So I have been working with my clients as a full-time coach since 2006. And you started with the question, why is it so hard? Because I think the thing that we do is one thing, but with what we really do for our clients is usually something else. There's a commodity and a product. So the commodity in my case is coaching, and consulting and all of that. But the real product, the real service is I help entrepreneurs get out of their own way.
Gotcha.
I hope
So
that answers your question.
yeah, absolutely. So the business that you had started that became,
Yes.
started off as really online websites and programming
Yes.
and marketing,
Yes.
evolved into implementation of strategies and
Correct.
online strategies, evolved into a coaching practice. Is that a
Yes.
fair kind of transition?
Yeah, that is true. I went through from like technician to business and entrepreneur, and eventually coach and consultant.
Got it. And
Yes.
so, a lot of, you like to use sometimes the sports analogy.
Yes.
Sometimes the best professional sports athletes don't make the best coaches, and
Correct.
sometimes the best coaches never actually played the game.
Yes.
Where do you sit in that vein? Like, did you experience some of the things that you coach as an entrepreneur, and that's why it made you easier to become a coach, or was it easier for you to kind of see what everybody else was doing as a coach and go, wait a minute, there's a better way to do this?
It's more of a second scenario.
Okay.
Um, and that doesn't mean that I did not make mistakes in my own business. In fact, I think I have made mistakes a lot more than all of my clients.
Yeah.
When it comes to making mistakes and doing the wrong things, I think I have a PhD in that. I'm certifiable when it comes to making mistakes. So I have learned a lot from my own mistakes. But my strength is noticing patterns in our actions and behavior, what sort of activity ends up in what kind of a result. So seeing that in myself and my clients or every other thing allowed me to find a lot of direct relationships from, well, this ends up with that. If we want the other thing, we have to do something else. Let me give you an example in the work that I do these days. Most of small business money and cash management struggles are unnecessary.
Yep.
That is the problem. And it comes from the two or three main reasons. One is small business owners, entrepreneurs, they don't know their numbers. They're getting their numbers from unreliable sources, maybe from spreadsheets. That whole communication that they can happen between finances and the entrepreneur is vague and weak sometimes. Another reason is that the beliefs that they have about their numbers. We're dealing with myths in this situation again, like many other places. For example, two of the most common myths are: one, any kind of additional revenue is good.
Yep.
Which is not always true. Second one is any kind of cost is always bad. So if we operate with that, we end up with certain results, and we go through the cycle over and over. And or the other pattern is even if they know that there's a problem and what the problem is, they're not sure how to fix it. Sometimes it's because of the clarity and all of that. So noticing these patterns, I was able to come up with or implement frameworks and methodologies to help clients remove all of that.
Got it. So, Rich and I have had this conversation many times before,
Yes.
but and we actually had a guest that Rich can speak very clearly to, because it was one of his favorite guests out of our first 100 episodes, which is sometimes being the coach and the player is very difficult. So,
Yes.
if you're the CEO of your own business, it's a lot harder for you to see what's going on than if you
Correct.
extract yourself from your business, look down on your business, and go, well, if I was the coach of this business, I would fix all these different things.
Yes. Yes.
Why is it so hard for entrepreneurs to remove themselves and get out of their own way?
I don't think it's an entrepreneurial problem. I think it's a human condition problem. It's much harder for us to see what's going on within ourselves or with what we do, positive or negative, rather than other people. Let me give you a positive example. We all have unique strengths, unique abilities, whatever we want to call it. And it comes so naturally to us. Like my brother, he's very good with numbers in his head. I have to put them down on paper or a spreadsheet to understand what I'm doing, but he does it in his head. I have no idea how he does it. But when you see someone with a talent or a strength, it's not a talent to a strength or them. That's just normal. They think like, doesn't everybody think like that? Until sometimes somebody from outside mentions that. So I have I try to come up with so many frameworks to remove this. I can't see my own problem. And eventually, when I had the realization that this is just a human condition, I don't do that anymore. I just get somebody else to look at it from the outside for me. So that's my, solution hack. Instead of taking the long, hard way of trying to see it myself and fix it myself, I talk to other people. I am a coach and I have my own coaches and mentors. I am a firm believer that I don't care who you are. Everybody needs a coach. Um, it's not just more knowledge or more experience. It's that, as you said, vantage point, external point of view, that they can see it from the outside and they ask you questions. We are so close to it that this is just a human condition. And because of that, I think we don't need to worry about that anymore. We just have to surround ourselves with the right support system to help us see that from the outside.
Why did you select the words profit finder?
Because I think the value of the work, it can be communicated to the clients that way. Um, it came out of a conversation from clients and other people. Again, looking at it from the outside, I was trying to say, this is what I'm trying to do. I was explaining the problem. So these words came up in conversations a lot, and I thought that is what we need to do. We need to find the profits in our business, rather than before than creating more profits in our business. That goes to the first thing that I said. Every kind of revenue must be good, right? um, More often than not, increasing the bottom line, increasing profitability, removing the cash and money management struggles is right under our nose. We get more out of fixing what we already have rather than adding new things. The tendency is, we need to address this money situation, so let's implement something new. Let's start making something new. Let's start create new revenue. And I like to start with, let's look at what we have and see if there are optimization that we can do. Do we have, for example, a market dominating position that differentiates us from the competitors? So with the same deal, same offer and all of that, we can, without adding new stuff, we can get more out of what we have rather than adding new stuff. So Profit Finder is that approach. Let me simplify it. To make things better, I think we shouldn't start with a to-do list. We better start with a not to-do list. What are the things that I can stop doing that will make things better? Then the second list would be to do better list. The things that I'm doing that I can do better. And at the third stage, okay, now let's look at the new stuff and the to-do list. So first a not to-do list, then a to-do better list, then eventually get to-do list. So that's the philosophy behind Profit Finder. Did that answer your question, Rich?
Yeah, it sure did. What I envision is you selected the word finder because when you're trying to find something, it already exists. The name of your company isn't Profit Creator. You don't need to create profit. The profit exists, and what you do is partner with clients to find what's already there and excavate and take away by having a not to do list or what to do better. You can excavate the current profits.
You got it. And just with that, with a lot less expenses or investments of money, time, energy, and all of that, we get the most out of what we already have.
Yeah, that's great. You said you look at patterns in behavior.
Yes.
And then you name two of the myths you saw as patterns. You saw any additional revenue is good and any cost is bad. And those were two myths as patterns in behavior. And then you had said that you have frameworks and methodologies that people would lean on, which are different than that. Can you describe the correct framework or methodology if the myth is any additional revenue is good and any cost is bad? What's the correct framework?
Um, the philosophy behind that is that cost benefit analysis of generating new revenue, of seeing, is this thing is going to, because the understanding the difference between profitability versus cash flow management is the tricky part. Cash is the lifeblood of the business. So revenue is a new revenue is addressing the cash flow management in a beautiful way, but in the long run, at the end of the year, we may not end up being profitable because of all of the costs of implementing new things. So the framework, should be able to address both short term and long term, and have a plan for long term, even if we're going to take a not so profitable step at the beginning because we need cash. So that approach of, we need money, let's start new things, should be questioned a few more times and exhaust. Is there something that we can do to fix what we have already better? For example, partnerships and referrals. Are we taking full advantage of that with the current offer that we have? Or with the offer that we have, is that the best offer that we can provide to people? Can we change the offer? Change the guarantee? That whole art of offer design. Or bundling. Can we bundle the stuff that we're selling? Like a restaurant owner, they have two paths to go. One is, let's say, Groupon or something. Come have a meal at our restaurant, and here is a coupon for, I don't know, $30-$40 off. Is that a better offer? Or come have a dinner here and your wine is on us, right? So in the mind of the customer, it's the same amount of dollar saving, but one is a coupon that eats up from your profit. It is more revenue, but it's your profit. The other one is a better deal because that wine bottle is cost, I don't know, somewhere between $4 to $8 for the business, but selling price is $30 or so. And when they come over there, they can give them the offer of the day, or make more money on the desserts and that sort of thing. So both, they bring new customers, but one, as far as managing the numbers, ends up being a better deal. So the cost of giving the wine away is not always bad because you make the numbers work. But the additional revenue of the discount or coupon is not always good because it creates new revenue. So it's the same case, two different approaches. Let's work out the numbers and see what works better.
And one of the things you consult your clients on is what you called offer design.
Correct.
Okay. I've never heard of the term offer design. It's a intriguing two words to put together. Do you have some principles of offer design that our listeners could take note of and evaluate their offers by?
Definitely. For the first thing is, let's not have only one price tag. Let's always have like 2 or 3 offers so people can choose. This whole psychology of sales and allowing people to feel they have a choice here, they have some power in determining the future, makes a big difference. So the offer of, I have this deal, do you want to buy it? Their choice is yes or no. But I have these 3 options for the package. It's the silver, bronze, gold package. Which one do you want? The option is not yes or no anymore. It's which one. So yes is implied. So that's one aspect of the offer design. Do you want to give this in your script or the other one? And I always like the 3 option, because depending which one is more profitable, or after working out the numbers is a better choice for the business, we can design them in a way that we naturally push people to one or the other. The first time I heard about this was about 10 years ago or so. I was listening to Dan Ariely's TED Talk. He wrote a book about that called Predictably Irrational. And he was talking about this study that they have done. So the study was like this. Let's say there is a magazine that you want to subscribe to. So the offer is, if you like the web version, it's $50. per year. If you want the print version, it's $100 per year. So 50 for web, 100 for print. For print and web is again $100. Which one would you buy? Right?
Smart.
Yeah, most people
You
go
feel
for,
like
I
you're
might
getting
as
a
well get the web
deal.
and print.
Yeah, you feel like you're getting a deal to pick the $100 for web and print.
There you go. Now, if I change that slightly to web is 50, print is 100, web and print is 150. Which one would you buy now?
I go to the web. I'd want the $50
Yes.
and I'll print it on my own.
You got it. And you mentioned the most important keyword just a second ago, a better deal. So in neither of the cases, we didn't think, what is it that I actually need? Which one is my preferred way of what is that I want? We went for the better deal. So by designing the offer that one of them works with the psychology of our clients better, we can push them to the for the transaction that is good for them and good for us. And let me put it this way: this is not manipulation, because my definition of sales is getting people emotionally engaged and intellectually interested in a future that's good for them. Underline, bold, good for them. I am a big believer in sell them what they want, give them what they need. So if my clients have the same human condition of being on their own way, how can I design the offer in a way so to help them get out of their own way to make the purchase towards the option that is good for them?
I've got coupons that I get from a hibachi restaurant that also serves sushi. Very true story. I don't happen to have them on my desk, so I can't flash them on the screen. But the place gives a coupon that I think it's something like 15% off a total bill of $30 or more. A buy one, get the second one half off lunch, or there's a dinner and a free drink. And all three of those coupons are on the same coupon clipper. Are they using the concept that you just described? It seems like they are. And I never really broke it down, like, why are they doing like 3 different offers on one? And is that using that concept?
No, I don't think so, because that now we're dealing with 3 offers.
Yeah.
I meant having options within one offer.
Okay.
Right? So, and because you just gave me 3 scenarios, requires me, the future client, the patron of the restaurant, to think 3 times, and thinking even once is hard. Right? We just like to go for the easy option. We're dealing with situation that our minds cannot handle more than 5 seconds of focus on a website, on a deal, on a coupon or something. So we have to make it as simple and easy as possible. So let's say you mentioned one of them is 15% discount on orders of $30 or more. If we just give them that one, and they have one option, and that's the door opener, and when they come and sit at the table, I bring up other things that I can enhance that, it would be a better approach in my opinion. So get them here with some sort of a coupon or something, and when they are here, we can do other things or provide other options and that sort of thing. But have 3 options to answer the question of do I want to go to this restaurant or not, or which one is easier. So that first step, call to action, seems too complicated, rather than making it simple to just get them here first.
Is there a way you would restructure those coupons to use a similar concept as what you used in the 50, 100, 100 deal? If you are a consultant to that restaurant, and by the way, my interplay here is I'm assuming we have lots of listeners who have coupons, who have 15% off or $200 off a minimum order of this. So I'm hoping they'll be able to use a concept maybe you can offer. If you're a consultant to that restaurant, how would they restructure those offers in the form of coupons that are side by side?
Yes. I would make that discount 3 levels of discount based on that minimum purchase. So if you spend money up to $30, this is the discount. If you spend more than $50, you get even bigger discount. So that deal changes based on that minimum value. So now they have the choice of managing the minimum value to get the discount level that we want, which is the gold level discount or bronze level discount. And I would also give some sort of a discount or a deal for even below that. So I don't know, free appetizer or something just for coming here. 15% discount if you spend more than $30. 20% discount, 25% discount if you spend more than $65.
Okay, you know who does this well is DXL. I happen to be of a size that I can't go shop for shirts at Walmart. I go to a the big and tall store over at DXL, and DXL has $25 off if you spend $100. They have $50 off if you spend like $200, and I think it's $75 off if you spend $300 or more. And I have caught myself buying more, wanting to get to that extra level because I want to cash in that money.
There you go. Yes, you got it. I think that's a great deal. And as I said, it's the psychology of sales, because I'm guessing you're like me, because I am also a big and tall guy. You're like me. I like to go shopping as frequent as what is the opposite of frequent? Infrequent as possible,
yeah.
right? So I'm here. I might as well go for a $300 deal, go home with a big bag of clothing, so I don't have to come back here for another year, right?
Yeah. And the other thing DXL does, as I look at their as you had called it, offer design, the other thing they do is they send me like a $15 off coupon. So not only am I getting this deal, but I can stack it on top of that deal. Yes. And then the $15 off coupon that expires at this timeline. And I'm trying to like jockey when I'm going to be able to get the best deal of, get the $15 off in the layered coupons. And You're right. Sometimes I find myself there and I'm like, I'm not even sure I need a shirt, but I want to get to that higher level, so I should get one.
Yes. And we can even enhance that, going with the same offer design and psychology. What if that coupon never expired? If you subscribe, that we send you a shirt every month or every quarter anyway. So you don't even have to go shopping anymore. Sign up for subscription at a discounted price, and we keep sending you shirts. So now you have repeat purchases, happier clients, and longer term clients, and all of that. So a shirt subscription service for the people who are going to be customers anyway can even take it to the next level. A never expiring discount.
Well, if I let you guys talk psychology for the rest of this podcast, we're not going to get back to some more important topics.
Wait a minute, more important? That's offensive.
Finding. Well,
that's offensive.
Hey, listen. Let me just say this. I think your whole business, Dr. K, is really on human condition thought process, whether it's the entrepreneur or the consumer, right? You see the patterns and behaviors like you talked about. So now I think you're giving us a clearer picture of your expertise, and I really appreciate that.
Very nice.
One of the things that I've learned in the past couple of years is revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, cash is king. And I've had the experience of chasing revenue and getting my butt kicked. Just absolutely getting my butt kicked. I'm chasing revenue. I'm chasing this big revenue number. Let's go. Everybody go to it. And we were growing poor. Then I chased a profit number. Let me chase this accrual-based profit number. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Get to the accrual-based profit number, realizing, oh my gosh, I'm still poor. I got to pay the tax man now. I got to do all these other things going on. And once you figure out how to unleash the cash piece of this whole thing, is really when you can feel in control of your whole business. So I really love, when you talk about these patterns and behaviors, bring me back a little bit to how you help these businesses specifically. Like one of the things you highlighted very, very early was that money and cash management struggles are not only unnecessary, but you find a lot of your entrepreneurs in that mix.
Correct.
And I was there for sure, multiple times over. A lot of entrepreneurs, until you get out of it, the first time,
Yes.
you're stuck in it for a long time.
Mhm.
How do you help them with that? Do you bring in financial expertise to help them get their books in order? Do you just coach them through that process? What is your methodology exactly in that area?
Um, Both. I like what you said about sanity, vanity, and all of that. You know how I always say it. I think this is what I heard and I liked is um, increasing revenue is good for your ego. No,
Yes.
increasing revenue feeds your ego. Increasing profitability feeds your family. So with that in mind, I'm going to use the shirt example
Yep.
from what Rich just said a minute ago. So that just after revenue would be come here, we have discounts, come here, we have discounts, come here, we have discounts. These are different levels of discount. Then increasing profitability was that whole idea of offer design. How do we give it levels and all of that? And increasing cash flow. So it's not just revenue or just profitability or just cash flow. That is the enemy. Coming up with the ways that we get all three of them going on, or at least two of them going on, it becomes a trick. So um, additional, let's do a sure subscription is the one that not only takes care of the cash flow because we are not reliable for creating new leads or bringing the old leads to the store anymore. The orders are coming. It's a subscription service. It takes care of the cash flow. So one is helping them choose the right profit model. There are, I think, like 25 or something different profit models. Profit modeling is simple, execution, not so much. So, one, identifying the right profit model, and second, helping them executing that. And yes,
Okay.
if there are other expertise needed, like people who are much better than me with finances and accounting and numbers, or wordsmithing, copywriting, design, and all of that, there are. I belong to different groups, or I know so many people that yes, if somebody else needs to come in and help us with that stage of it, we will take care of that too. I definitely do not have all the answers,
Yeah.
but I have a good network of people or resources to be able to find the answers that we need.
Absolutely. I love the increasing revenue feeds your ego, increasing profit feeds your family. I guess the question I have is, does it really feed your family? Because you can have a business with real strong profitability and not have any cash.
Yes.
And so, when you talk about profits, maybe you're answering the question by the profit models, maybe because profit doesn't always necessarily mean you have cash.
No,
Uh,
no, no.
and so, how do you relate those two between profit and cash in your models?
Again, that um, increasing profits with the bundling, for example, with the
Sure.
subscription model, with other approaches as far as limited time offers for that special deal design, they're all date oriented. So that addresses the cash flow situation, um, uh, and cash flow with additional revenue that brings in for management the cash flow. Designing it in a way that not only addresses the cash flow situation, but also in the long term, we don't end up being in negative, is the profitability side. So profitability is always longer term than both revenue and cash management. And
Gotcha.
balancing the two and not being blind to one or the other is the trick.
Yeah.
Um, Being able to focus on both is tricky. We in a business we have CEO in charge of the whole running the whole business and execution and things. We have chief marketing officer, we have sales managers. In some business, we even have chief revenue officers. And my question is, well, who is in charge of profitability?
Yeah.
Who is the chief profitability officer? And the thing is what you just said. Um, not It's not just a marketing feature or a sales feature or a revenue feature that manages, or the finance feature that manages the cash flow. It's a cross-functional kind of a approach and position that it could be part of the job of the CEO, or have a person dedicated to that. That is, I am not part of any department. I'm going to connect all of these things. So uh, the cash flow of the finance and the marketing, and the revenue generation of marketing and sales, all of that, they're working together in tandem.
Makes sense. And so, another way to maybe position what you do for businesses is, not only are you a business coach, but you're also an interim CPO. chief profitability officer, right? If they don't have one, you kind of
Yeah.
fill in that gap as their interim guidance, right? Because I don't know of a
John,
guy
we have a new marketing spin for him that he's a fractional CPO.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
I mean, because right now, the fractional CFO business, the fractional sales management business, everybody needs a fractional CPO. That's for sure.
Okay. Well, let me change that sign to fractional CPO.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, you don't need to change the sign of your company, but it does connect with me as an entrepreneur that there is nobody. I mean, the CEO certainly is, and the CFO are certainly responsible for delivering profitability, accountable for delivering profitability, but no one, because of the operational day-to-day nuances that you have to go through when you're shoveling the dirt, right, in the weeds, cutting the trees. It's very hard to look above it and say, no, I'm in charge of profitability. That's what I do every day for this business.
Yes.
Very difficult.
And it goes back to what you said at the very beginning. Looking at our own thing is very hard. So this CPO fractional has the advantage of looking at it from the outside to see what's going on and what to move around and make things better.
Understood. You had mentioned a few minutes ago that there are several different profit models. You mentioned something around in the 20s or so of different profit models. You don't need to list all 25, but can you give me an example of like what a couple of those are?
Yes, of course. Like subscription is a profit model by itself, right? So that's one of them. Actually, let me bring something on my screen as we are looking. So
as you're doing that, Dr. K, and pulling that up on your screen, do you have any book recommendations if somebody wanted to get read up on profit models?
Actually, there is a great book called Profit Models.
Okay.
Yes. It's in a form of a storytelling. It goes over all of the profit models. All of them, they require side education when it comes to that. One of our biggest teachers is going to be implementation of each one and how it works for us. So that's one of the books that I recommend for bigger businesses. So not necessarily. So let's say if a business is around about 50 million, 20 million in revenue, I think it's called something like islands profitability, profit islands, or islands of profitability, or if something like that, if I'm not mistaken. That is a good book to look into. Any kind of a accounting for entrepreneur kind of a book, as opposed to accounting for accountants or for bookkeeper. Any book in finance, I think there is one called Accounting 101. Is there making it very practical. I do also have my own book that it has a bunch of easier, more entrepreneurial kind of a way of looking at it in there. The content is coming from many different sources. So even though it has my name on it, I'm gonna, credit goes to so many other places. We all stand on the shoulder of people who have come before us. So and also I found some great courses on LinkedIn, on the LinkedIn education for entrepreneurial accounting or financing and that sort of thing. It's going back to what we talked about before. It's that cross-functional kind of a thing. The reason that I'm able to help my clients is because I understand marketing well. I have a good understanding of sales and experience of it. Then offer design and psychology of sales. So it's a multi facet, multi discipline kind of a situation. And as I said, the solution that I came up with it is to outsource it to somebody who's a business consultant, such as myself.
Yep. Sorry, what was the name of your book?
It's
is that your own customized 12-month profit roadmap?
That's a process that it's a tool that they can run. They can end up with the book is called 45-minute Profit Finder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So both are Did I send you the URL for these links for starting points for people?
Yes.
Yes. So profitfindernow.com, there is that initial assessment that they can run to put their numbers. Any entrepreneur, they can go there. All they need are three numbers. So to make it simple, right? Accounting and finances could be intimidating. So all you need is three numbers: your annual revenue, your growth profit margin, and your net profit margin. And the tool, based on almost 500 million data points, does the calculation. Um, it's across all industries, so it's an average kind of thing, but allows you to see what sort of a improvement that you can do in what area, and everybody can get their own 12-step in process. If they want to have a more specific about their case, about their industry, there is the session that they can book with me, and that book that I have, 45 minutes Profit Finder, is a great resource that they can download. It's a free book, and go through all of that to basically get into the right headspace, get ready for the implementation where the real results happen.
Got it. Well, as you can see from Rich's bookshelf, he likes to ask about books he can go
Yes.
buy. But let me
Yeah.
bring you back, if I can, now to the profit models.
Yes.
You had mentioned subscription as an example, subscription profit model. What are some other examples? You don't have to list the whole list, but what are some other examples that entrepreneurs can wrap their heads around the different models?
Um, um, one of them is, um, let's call it the pyramid profit model, as in the door opener. Let me put it this way: the cost of acquisition of a new client versus the profitability of lifetime value of a client
Mm-hmm.
can be designed in multiple ways. So when you think of it, that I have it's also referred to as the value ladder. So
Okay.
it's just the initial sales. So the profit model goes across multiple steps and actions by the client, because the cost of acquisition could be just break even or negative at some points, because we have designed the rest of the value ladder in a way that in a lifetime value of a client, the profitability is being made in within 6 month, year, or I don't know, different businesses, 5 years, or whatever. So that whole ladder profit pyramid kind of a thing is one of the models.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. That's very helpful. So I really love this idea of the profitfindernow.com
Yes.
and how simple you make it for people to actually just go answer three questions, and it will give you kind of the steps you should be looking at in your business to evaluate where you can find profit. The other
Yes.
thing that it sounds very similar to the Growth Institute, and there's a book called Scaling Up that, to me, that book as an entrepreneur, when it goes through its cash section,
Yes.
really talks about the power of one. If you change by 1%, increase your gross margin by 1%, reduce your salaries by 1%, reduce your other expenses by 1%, your revenue by 1%. If you do 1% everywhere, that can really make a big difference to your business. And one of the things that I've learned over time too is, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, it doesn't matter what your revenue is. If your net profit margin is under 5%, you got a lot of work to do. You really should be looking at your not to do list, as an example. If your profit's over 12%, let's call it 10, I'll say even over 10%. If your profit's over 10% net margins, you're doing something right. You should certainly continue to improve it, but you're doing something right. Where I found myself stuck many, many times, I think a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck, is in that 5 to 10%, and they can't break out of the 10%.
Yes.
Do you find that as well?
I do. And the answer to what you just said a bit earlier is that the compound effect of 1% everywhere or in multiple places. Because the same way that we looked at, okay, money situation is bad, let's sell more, let's increase revenue. So not acting on other things. By the way, I'm so glad you mentioned the Scaling Up book. So when you were asking about book recommendations, that's another one that I recommend, especially the cash section. So in the 12-step process, there's a short video about the compound effect of how we can make small changes in different places and get bigger outcome. Because I mentioned market dominating position,
Yep.
right? Which usually addresses not only what we do but also the pain. Let's say if I am a I don't know, at-home chef, that I can come to your home for your catering. You have a party, or some people. Let's say you meet two chefs in a party and ask you first one, "Hey, what do you do?" Says, "I'm an at-home chef. I make meals." Or the second one says, "You know how hard is it for people to spend time and cook healthy, delicious meal for themselves and with their guests?
Yes.
I'm a home chef."
Very
It's,
difficult.
yeah, same person, but two different way of saying it. So they, by just saying it different, their market dominating position changes. Right now, that I have this market dominating position, that increases that 1% or so, 1 or 2%. Then you have a better offer design. That's another 1 or 2%. Then you have the subscription model. That's another 1 or 2%. So combining them all helps them to go over from the where they're stuck to where they needed to go, or to at least to the next step. So I am very much a big believer, and that is the approach of small changes, but in 10, 12, 14 different aspects of the business. Uh, as I said, bundling is one of them. Upsell, cross sell, downsell, offer design. When we work on a bunch of them, it's going to take some time. We all happily pay more for something that addresses our pain better. So here's a principle. If you can do a good job in describing the problem, describing the pain, if you do a good job in describing the pain better than they can, they automatically assume you have the right solution for them.
Mm.
You may or may not have the solution, but they automatically assume that. If you have a problem, "Hey, have you noticed every time you drive your car, you paint your house, this happens and that happens, and this frustration shows up?" They say, "Yeah," and you just stay quiet. They say, "What should I do about it?" Because they automatically assume they connect you with the solution or the right person. So this job of, instead of keep talking about this is what I do and this is why I'm good at it, if we switch that to this is your problem and I understand your problem and I understand you, um, can just change the game for us. People love to be understood, as opposed to do the work of trying to understand our deal, what we do, and try to remember to call us and all of that.
The way you articulated that there connected with me really well. Where what John and I were taught 25 plus years ago was to come in with features and benefits, and you understand the person's needs, and you try to only hone the features and benefits to the need that you've listened to instead of just show up and throw up. And you're turning that on its head and saying, you don't even really need features and benefits. If you can identify with the pain of your customer, they're going to assume you have the solution. Yes, you need to be a pro in your space, but don't
Yes.
spend as much time selling your features and benefits. Spend more time relating with them that you get the pain of what your company can relieve.
Yes. And the feature and benefits come after that. It's that know, like, and trust. We need to establish the know and the like and trust between ourselves and the clients, so they can open up about, so what is your deal and what are the features, what are the benefits. They are now ready for that because they feel understood. They feel that they know you. They feel that you understand their problem, so therefore they can trust you. And by feeling understood, that liking is starts to appear. So doing the know, like, and trust with discussing the pain first, um, smooths the rest of the whole sales later. And it's not just the first transaction. It's not just this sale. It's all of the future sales. It's also has a direct relationship with their satisfaction level. We may do the job with the same quality, but if they don't connect it to pain removed, their level of internal satisfaction is going to be different. So in my business, uh, their level of trust in the process and satisfaction has a direct result in how they're going to do in their business, because they feel they have picked the right solution. Let me give you an example. If I tell you, hey, I'm a personal trainer, or I say, hey, I'm a personal trainer specialized in removing extra fat, extra obesity, so I'm not a personal trainer for developing muscles and all of that. And if I say I'm a personal trainer specialized in fat removal for adult males over between 40 and 50, the person says, that's me, right? If they, one of the two things happens, they either sign up or they don't. If they don't, sign up with another personal trainer, buy P90X, or just do nothing. The whole time they think they made the wrong decision. Therefore, their belief will give them different results. But if they do sign up with me, and I am no better than any other trainer, I'm just normal, but they think they made the right decision, they will get better results, because their dedication and commitment to the process is in a higher level. So just by saying it different, we are already serving them at a higher level. And imagine how easier it is for me to get good at my sales process, because right now I know who I'm talking to, and I just repeat that script over and over and get really good at it, as opposed to knowing how to sell to men and women and young and old and all. I will never get good at any of those salesmanship, but this way I can become master at that. On the other end, the work that I have to do to become really good at what I do, like studying the anatomy and physiology of all of these different kind of people, as opposed to just my target group. So with less studying, more, the higher my level of mastery, because it's narrowed down. So therefore, we have residential painters and commercial painters, or however they can narrow it down and just say that, so people say, hey, that's me, and yes, that's my pain. Therefore, this person must be the right person for me, not only for this transaction, but from now on, because they have packages for that.
Wow. Describe your target market so they can identify themselves in it. And there's a piece of perception is reality. Yes. That because they identify themselves in it, you're already helping them, because they will likely implement whatever the solution is to their problem that you're selling. So that is absolutely brilliant. What a great interview with you. Thank you for all of the knowledge that you provided. And if our listeners wanted to get more of you, how could they do that?
Well, thank you very much. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for the good questions. This is the sort of thing that I love to do, and the conversation that I have. So I really, really enjoyed this time. Thank you for the opportunity. The starting point is just that simple website, profitfindernow.com, and whatever is going on, the offers that I have for different groups of people, they're all there. There are things that they can do, they can download. There are a bunch of assessments. They can book a call with me. Whatever is the right next action for them, they can just take it from there.
Go find the best deal. Go find the best deal.
Yes, there you go. Yes.
John, we were thinking the same thing. I was like, I want to go look at the offers he has, and I want to decrypt how he's communicating those. So thank you again for the treat of the conversation.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Please stick around for a few more minutes while Rich and I break down this episode.
Rich, Chief Profitability Officer. That really sums up in total for me what Dr. K does for businesses. And way too many times the entrepreneur is so deep in their business, they can't rise above the trees all the time and look at profitability. To have somebody that's helping you do that. And he said it very eloquently. I don't care who you are, everybody needs a coach. And I don't care who you are as an entrepreneur, you can always work on profitability.
Agreed. And I'd say he had so many different angles. His knowledge really of people, but then also knowledge in sales and knowledge in marketing and knowledge in profit. And sounded like he had an awful lot of different angles that he could come at to help somebody be able to manage their profit. By the way, on air with him, I didn't get a chance to check in with you, and I wanted to. Did it resonate with you that 25 years ago we're all on features and benefits and needs, and it's like that could be kind of out the door by taking his approach.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's completely out the door, but we certainly had this strategic approach of identifying the needs and then responding back with, okay, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, we heard your need is this, and here's how we're going to address it. Here's the features and benefits of what we do. And it was very like mechanical, right?
Yes.
Which, keep in mind, we were, straight out of college and learning sales at that particular juncture. So I think it was very helpful to learn that. However, if someone came to my house and did that to me, I'd be like, okay, the features, like, do I even like this person? Are they going to solve my need or not? Right. And I think where he goes is more at a holistic level at the top, which is, can I relate? Does this person relate to my problem? Can I relate to them? Do I like them, trust them? Then after that, you can tell me about your features and benefits, but I've already bought from you. Now I just want to know how you're handling it.
There's something he recommends in that seems to be frankly more of an empathetic approach than what we were trained. You're right. What we were trained was very mechanical. ID need, match feature and benefit, deliver. You could literally set up artificial intelligence to do what we were taught, versus this is much more, you call it holistic, and I'd look at it as empathetic and just being there with the person and
Yeah.
getting them. So I thought that was really neat.
And I
The
think,
other one
Rich,
was,
the other, sorry to interrupt, the
yeah,
other thing that was kind of interesting to me, he didn't actually say it this way, but it was the dedication and commitment bias. That when you can describe the target market so they can identify themselves in it. And the other thing he said is, if you can describe their pain better than they can even think about it, they connect with you. Then they have this kind of commitment dedication bias that they've already bought you before they hear about your features and benefits. They're already in. Like, you've connected with them at that level, and that's a pretty deep psychological thought process. And I've seen myself do it many times. I've already bought because I was connected with a brand for whatever reason. I didn't even know the feature and benefits of the running shoes. I already connected with the running shoe brand. I wanted that running shoe.
and he tagged onto that by talking about describing the target market. And if somebody identifies in that perception is reality, there's a piece of that that's like, feels a little bit like hocus pocus and smoke and mirrors, and just because they think that makes it, but it's psychology. It's real. If somebody buys believing they are squarely in your line of expertise, they will perceive the benefit of what they're receiving to be more fitting for what is their need. It's genius. And when you think about it, and from the aspect that he described it in, it's serving the customer to do it that way. Don't you want a happy customer? And doesn't the customer want to be happy? And wouldn't they be more happy if what you were offering them as a solution worked better? And it's going to work better by allowing them to identify themselves in your target market. It's genius.
Yeah, and now you know why he connects so well with Pete Moore, who referred Dr. K to us from Simplifying Entrepreneurship. Simplify entrepreneurship. So many times I've sat in a strategic marketing session and they're saying, well, who's your buyer persona? And I'm like, guys, who cares? I want to sell my widgets. Like, who cares who my buyer persona is? I couldn't really connect to why that even matters. But he did a really good job of, as you just articulated, explaining why that does matter. Because the more targeted your buyer persona is and your target market is, the better you can identify the needs they will have, the better they'll identify with you. Which also comes back to another concept we've talked about, which is the riches are in the niches. Don't try and figure out how to sell to every single possible buyer out there. You're going to spread yourself way too thin and do nothing great. But if you can really target who you're going after and connect with them, you'll become an expert in that sales process.
I like that. And last thing I'll mention that really resonated for me, obviously, was the idea of offer design. It is a thing. I've never thought of it. Like, there's a skill of offer design. And he really intrigued me with some of the angles he was able to pull out and make it so that someone is really considering, how do I get the best deal in it, instead of just yes and no. It was, how do I game their deal to be able to take full advantage of it? Again, I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, and that's one of those things, Rich, that knowing you, you're going to have a hard time seeing a deal of any kind for the next 12 months without psychoanalyzing it, right?
Yeah.
Being like,
Yeah.
oh, look what they're doing. I get it. Or look what they're not doing. I
Right.
can see that being a huge value to you and your business. Is just that offer design component and really thinking through, what are we trying to get here? What are we trying to the reaction to be? And what's the highest margin we're trying to achieve? So I'm sure the next time you go to DXL, you'll be thinking about that.